Okay, peace, gods and goddesses, peace. We are coming with you with another episode, episode 3. And this is Let's Talk Inner Child Work. Just so everyone know, this is going off of what we recently talked about when we're talking about emotional control and having accountability. Just so you guys know, these are aspects of doing shadow work. So the inner child work will be the last segment of shadow work because we've given you all the tools needed so you can get the ball rolling on shadow work. So, sis, did you want to give your perspective to the
I'll
class?
let you go ahead and start this one, and I'll give my perspective on my part of the segment. How's that sound?
Okay. Okay. So I want to start off by saying, since I said that this is a part of shadow work, the inner child work, shadow work is literally you going deep within, exploring the parts of you that are suppressed, the parts of you you have rejected due to shame or discomfort. So that's a part of shadow work, as well as accountability and emotional control, which is why we said it all ties in together. So inner child work, I want to finish off the shadow work with inner child work. Reason why I wanted to do this, I know everyone may not need inner child work, but there are some of us who don't understand that some of the things that happened to us in our childhood was actually for us to be stronger. We're still holding on to the traumatic experiences of those situations, and we hold on so tight to them that it manifests in our adulthood and we don't realize it. So let's go deep, okay? You want to beware of your shadow self. So when you go deep, your shadow self is the suppressed version of you, the version of you you don't let the world see, the version of you that you're ashamed of. As above, so below. As within, so without. Whatever's going on within, that's what you are projecting outward, which is why it's important for you to have shadow work. Did you want to chime in on that one too, sis?
No, I'm just listening.
Mm-hmm. So you cannot elevate yourself without acknowledging your shadow self. Just so everyone knows, I love to write everything out to get my notes and my thoughts out. So I wrote a whole lot of notes. So let's get the ball rolling. We're going to jump right into inner child work. Inner child work, what that is, acknowledging and healing the emotional wounds and unmet needs your inner or younger self needed. This into the last two segments, like I said, with the accountability and emotional control. Dig deep to get to the root of the unwanted traits you no longer want to hold on to. So there are a lot of traits that we have that we adopt as kids. Sometimes those traits are good, sometimes those traits are bad. And when you don't acknowledge them, you won't know. And like I said, they foster into your adulthood. So when you start to do the accountability and you start to sit with yourself and you start to realize, this is a toxic trait that I want to get rid of. Where did it stem from? That's when you start digging deep. Where did you first experience this trait? Sometimes people experience it all the way in their childhood. And this is why I wanted to do the inner child work. Let me look at my notes here. For example, say like you inherit a narcissistic trait. You don't realize you inherit it until you do your shadow work. But where did that trait come from? You may have had narcissistic parents and it fostered on you.
Whoa, hold on. Because see, when a narcissist isn't going to know they're a narcissist.
That
So, so if we start with a narcissist, that one's going to be a little bit hard, just
it
because
was
a
just
narcissistic person.
yeah, I was just using like an example, you know. Just giving some sort of example. That's what I was
Okay.
going with that.
I, I'm not trying to cut you off. What I would tell you to do is start a little bit lower than a narcissist, because a narcissist is not somebody who's gonna be able. First of all, a narcissist isn't gonna look at our stuff and learn from it.
Okay.
They're gonna be a person that's so deeply embedded in who they are, so stubborn. They're not gonna see needing this.
I
That's
got
why I said you don't want to go that high.
I
That's a level you're not ready for.
Oh, okay. Well, I wanted to use that examples because those of us who can see it can probably have that example to understand where it come from. Let me make this more clear. Say like a person that's on the outside looking in that could see the trait and they know this person with the trait and they can understand where it stems from. Like you said, the narcissist is not going to see that. However,
Yeah.
it's on the outside looking in, we can kind of see how that manifested into their adulthood, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Well, I was using it as an example. And I was going to say like
Okay.
manipulation, tactics, and stuff like that. So, do you have any
Okay.
examples that you would like to give?
For I would just say for the person that's in the process of trying to heal themselves, I won't put a narcissistic label on people because that's a really, really heavy label. And most people who carry that label aren't even aware of who they are and why and what they're doing. And to be able to, even if you see that trait in them and you're saying, that's narcissistic, that's deep.
Right.
It's a little bit harder because if you go to them and tell them you're a narcissist, they're not going to hear what you're saying.
I hear you.
That's a whole fight and an argument.
Yeah.
So that could be a whole nother segment
Okay.
of talking about narcissistic people and how to heal them.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll just use myself as an example because that's not where I was trying to go with that. I was trying to give like an example as to
Yeah.
the root of things. So not necessarily trying to call someone that, but I'm trying to, express that if you see that and you understand the person that you're with and you know their background, you can understand how that was rooted into their life. But I will say this for myself, how I healed some my inner child wounds. For instance, I had to take myself out of my child self and put myself into the shoes of my mother and my father. What was life like for them at the age I'm in now? For me to have a better understanding, why did this happen that way? Why did this happen this way? So I was able to heal from that by doing it. And I call that remote viewing. That way I can understand that. And I was able to have a heart to heart with my mother about that. And we had that conversation. We was able to heal and move on from that. But I have a better understanding as to why things happened the way they did with my parents, why things happened the way they did with my caregivers. And I have a better understanding as to that was for me to be stronger. And that was for me to cut the ties, not to stay victimized, but to understand they didn't quite understand what was going on either. You know what I'm saying? When we talked about the accountability and stuff like that, how some of them don't necessarily take accountability because they don't know to. They weren't given these tools to. They had the opportunity to, but they didn't have anybody to teach them because they thought what they were doing was the right thing. If that makes sense, if that makes sense. You had anything else? It's okay. Okay. I wasn't sure if you had anything.
No. So basically to me, where I look at it is it's time for us to stop blaming our parents for maybe what we did or what we did not do. On my spiritual aspect of it, there's a contract, there's a spirit contract between you and your parents. And that contract, whether you believe it or not, was a contract that you and your parents as spirits decided that you were going to come into an understanding with. A lot of people don't understand this. I get it. I didn't understand it when I first heard it, but it helped me to understand that what your parents did or did not do when you was a kid was meant for them to not do it and to do it, to instill the person that you're supposed to be. Okay. If we all had great upbringings, we wouldn't know the duality that some people see. Our trials and tribulations are the trials and tribulations that we have to stand into. So your hardships, your perseverance, your resilience, your strength, you got that from your parents. So my aspect of it is healing your inner child, is growing up and seeing. If you have kids, you're going to do something your child may or may not agree with, and they're going to come to you or they may not come to you. But if you instill in them, the fact of the matter is, hey, I did this because that's what I knew. I've actually had to do this with my children. I've had to go to them and say, hey, look, I'm sorry. I only parented you based off of what I knew. And that struggle is what we all had to go through together. So at this point, healing your inner child is, like she said, doing the first two segments and not blaming your parents for what they did or what they didn't do, what they had or what they didn't have. Because we're all going to be in those shoes if we have children or even if we don't. We're going to impede on somebody's life. Okay.
Okay. So I just want to get started on how to conduct inner child work. First and foremost, identify and understand your emotions to certain situations that made you feel these emotions without judgment. That includes looking at your caregivers without judgment, okay? You're revisiting these memories with a different perspective. You'll have a better understanding as to why that situation happened. Children don't understand what goes on. They only see what our caregivers see. So this is the opportunity as an adult. Now that you're an adult, you have a better understanding. Why did these adults in my child life, decided to make these decisions? And you'll have a better reaction and action to these situations. Here you'll start to also understand you were made to come up out of those feelings and to become stronger. Like my good sis said, this is not to hurt you, but to make you stronger. You'll also see that your caregivers was taught however they were taught, however they were raised. So like she said, you can't fully blame your parents for that. I also recommend positive affirmations. I have actually two positive affirmations that you can say. And that one is, I release all fears and doubts. That's the first one. Second one, I accept myself and create peace in my mind, body, and heart. Believe that, feel that. Those are going to help you get through your everyday risings to continue to elevate yourself. Another thing, have self-compassion. When you're doing this, show yourself some grace. It's too easy for us to go down that road and we start to feel guilty about what happened. Don't do that. You're here to show yourself some grace and have no judgment during this process. 3, be and create that nurturing environment that you did not have as a child. You now can do that for yourself, not just your children, but for yourself. 4, allow your inner child to play. What are the things that you like to do as a kid? Get back to that. Show your kids what it is that you enjoy doing. Make that a bonding experience with your children. You should be bonding with your children anyway. To tap back in, me and my daughter always go outside. We play and we're swinging on the swing. We was just drawing earlier. She was trying to force me to eat some imaginary spaghetti. She had her own imaginary restaurant. We had us a little moment together. So it's always a laugh, good time here. You're not going to always be the best doing this, feeling the best, but just know it is the first steps of healing. Okay. Let me see what I have here. I have an exercise to help you release this. And I call it to write a letter to yourself and write a letter to your loved ones. So you're going to write 2 letters, or you can pick one. First letter for self, you're going to write a love letter to yourself expressing how much you love you, how much you value yourself, how much you respect yourself. And the second letter, you're going to write to those loved ones that you felt hurt you, that you felt put those traumatic feelings and thoughts on you. And you're going to write how you felt, how that situation made you feel. Now, you're not going to give them these letters. What you're going to do, you're going to get a burn-proof bowl, and you're going to take these letters and you're going to burn it. This is a way to release that toxicity from within you. Start to heal. I also recommend going outside doing this so the wind can blow it all away to get that release off of you. Pull it out of you. It's the weeds that you're pulling out from within. I also have affirmations. I have 3 affirmations for that as you watch these letters burn in the burning bowl. 1, I release old habits and create new traits. 2, I love myself, I trust myself, I honor myself, I value myself. The third one, I'm in unity with nature's flow. I nurture my soul and watch my power grow. As you continue to do this, you're going to feel so elevated. You're going to feel so much power from within. Like I said, I do recommend you going outside in nature and allowing the wind to blow. Tap into nature. Nature is the best place for healing as well. Sis, did you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I'll continue on when my segment when it's my turn.
Okay, love. Okay. With this, I'm gonna continue with you want to practice self-care. What things do you do to have self-care? What do you like to do for self-care? Whether that's going to the spa, whether that's getting your hair done, whether that's taking a nice hot bubble bath, whether you getting your nails done, just being out in nature. Always continue to practice self-care. 6, establish healthy and clear boundaries, not just with other people, but with yourself. 7, celebrate your success no matter how big or small. 8, forgive yourself and forgive those who were your caregivers, your parents. Practice gratitude and remember to do the letter writing practices that'll help you release those traumas that you were dealing with and just continue to elevate yourself. So, sis, I am done with that aspect. I'm going to let you go ahead and chime in
Okay.
because I have
So
some questions.
I'm not very progressed in healing the inner child. The reason why is because when I was growing up, I didn't really take away um, the negative while I was a kid. There were things that I realized. Self-reflection was something that I had always done. When I see adults say one thing and do something else, it helped me to understand that when I got older, these were things that I wouldn't do. So you could say that from childhood growing up, I just went ahead and understood these things as I went, as I grew up. Did I see adults around me display hypocrisy? I did. We know the difference between that. But a lot of times what we don't understand is that our parents will make us right even when we're not, even when we're not. That's a form of fabrication. Sometimes we have to do that in our lives. So a lot of the things that I feel my parents taught me were things that I needed, but I needed to know when to use them. And until I learned when and how to use them, I questioned everything. If I seen things that I didn't like in my parents or didn't want to display, I questioned that if I seen it in myself. And yes, I seen a lot as I grew up, but when I got into my teenage era, it was one of those things where I seen that I displayed family traits that I would question, and then I would ask how to fix it. I would ask this out into the air, now knowing it's the ether, but at the time it was me talking to my spirit because I followed a different religion at the time or a different understanding. And so I would just take long walks and talk to myself. And so when I teach my classes and I teach people on deciphering, we're adults now. You have to learn to be able to take accountability for your actions. And that means all of this. All of this is engulfed in that. Where did this emotion come from? If you break that emotion all the way back down, it probably stemmed from some part of your childhood or your teenage years or your young adult years. It depends on what age you are watching this. If you take accountability at that point, meaning that you did something out of action reaction type situation, somebody caused an action which caused you to react to that situation, then you go back and you ask yourself, okay, why did I do that? And then you get the emotion, well, I felt like my ego was bruised. Okay, where did I get this reaction from? Well, I see my people do it. Okay, you seen your people do it, you reacted that way, would be natural because we learn from what we see, not from what we're told. So it's natural, but then you're not comfortable with that emotion inside of you, which is what helps you to break all of this down and come to this area. We're not pointing fingers, we're not placing blame, because when you go to somebody who's not aware of their actions, then you look like you're placing blame on these people when they only knew to do what they were taught to do. So this experience was an experience that you came into this life and signed up for. I know that's hard. That's hard for anybody to digest, because some people have had really, really hard childhoods and they went through some really extreme stuff. And the first thing you would say is, well, why would I sign up for this? There's a lot of different things. Through time, we'll get into those things, because you need to heal or understand or get into an understanding before we just throw this out to you. So what I want you to do is, I want you to just utilize the first two, accountability and emotion, because the emotion, when you dig all the way deep for that emotion, it, one, helps you to have the emotional intelligence that you need, because emotions is what pushes out there to do these things. It's easy to say at, almost 30, almost 40, almost 50, well, my parents didn't provide this and that's why I didn't have it. Now we're in the age of information, and the age of information gives you the information and the intelligence, the knowledge, the understanding that you need to be able to better yourself. Thank your parents for the hardships that you had to go through, because it did build something. If you're here watching this show today, it built strength, because there's always an easy way out. There's always a way to say that I'm not going to take accountability. I'm not going to track my emotions. I'm not going to understand this. This is how I was raised. This is how we do things. This is how we're going to do them. And then you will always do them that way. So from this standpoint on healing the inner child, I realize the power that you've been given, but also the power that you let somebody take away from you, and realize that you can now be responsible for your life on your terms. Okay? That child is not a child anymore. That child is now an adult. It's now thriving. It's now understood. You can sit and talk with yourself, find out what you want, understand what you want out of life. And yes, that means you might have to go against some of the family values that you've seen, but we're here for self. We're not here for family. We're here to better ourselves. We're here to remember who we were. We are here to understand who we're growing into. Okay, so if this doesn't resonate with you, like I told Southern Goddess here, that I can't really say that the inner child in me needed to be sat down and hugged. I can't say that the inner child in me needed to do these things, because as a young adult, as soon as we move out of our parents' house, everything that our parents didn't allow us to do, we did. Everything our parents told us not to do, we either didn't do or we tried. So I can't really say that the inner child in me needed to be healed. She needed to grow up. And when she grew up, she realized that as an adult, my life is mine. As a child, it was to be mentored and have parents to take care of me. Did they feed me? Yes. Did they put clothes on me? Yes. Was it always the way that I wanted it? No. Because when we engulf ourselves with other kids and other people, when we start to see the things that they're doing, we start to feel like our parents are lacking in areas that they're really not. So once I come to realize this, there was no child. The child grew up. And when the child grew up, she realized that there was things that she needed to provide for herself. And when she provided those things for herself, there was no longer a hold of my parents didn't give me. It's what can I give myself? So through my decision making, or the lack thereof, that was my fault. I was able to say that, okay, maybe my parents didn't do X, Y, and Z, but when I grew up, I didn't do it either. So how did I better myself if I didn't provide myself with the things I felt I wanted? So I made some bad decisions, but then I went back and I did the emotional understandings and I did the accountability. Man, accountability was the one thing that was a slap in the face, but it was a big eye opener at the same time. because it released my parents from anything that I had them bound to. I did a lot of mirror work at the time. I talked to myself in the mirrors. I did a lot of mirror work, and I put myself as the center of any problem that I was in. I was the common denominator. And the only way to fix that was to look deep within me and fix that within me. The things that I knew were wrong that I picked up on to make myself look right to people was things that I didn't need. So I released that. Arguing with people, going back and forth with them. I didn't need it. I don't even like the way it makes me feel. So I released that. Do I see this throughout? Yeah. Okay. But it wasn't something that I needed. Candle work, a lot of candle work, which helped me meditate. It helped me to be able to focus on my inner self, because it's the inner self that needs to grow. Some people say it needs to heal. Mine needed to grow. It needed expansion. It needed to see, why did I feel so different? Moon work. I sit outside on full moons or whenever the moon is visible, and I talk to the moon. That helps with emotion. That's the divine masculine. It also helps you to be able to receive more information. A lot of meditation work. Meditation will help you to understand self-reflection. It will help you to see the inner you. What we're trying to learn is we're trying to learn to be the observer. We're trying to be able to observe ourselves from an outside standpoint. So my inner child had been being healed as I grew up. Anything that I brought from that here, I took the good, I took the bad, I meshed them up, and I said, this is how I'm going to fix me. That allowed me to start being able to give classes to people. That allowed me to start helping people to understand your child is no longer there. For some people, I get it. Release the child, grow her up, tell her it's okay. The past that you went through, you needed to go through. If you didn't, you wouldn't have went through it. No matter how great or how bad it was, you needed to go through it. Now that you've survived it, you've already elevated yourself to that next level. Now it's time to stop making excuses. Stop blaming people. If you're going to blame somebody, blame yourself. If you're hard on yourself, sit in that emotion and ask yourself why. Decipher the emotion. Journal that emotion. See how deep you can go with that emotion, because accountability and emotion is going to help you grow yourself up. We're going to stop walking around like teenagers. We're going to stop doing high school games, because I don't see little kids when I go work in certain areas. What I see is teenagers who got stuck in that in-between adult and grown-up area. We're going to grow ourselves up. We're going to stand on our own 2 feet. If we didn't pay a bill and we bought that dress, we're going to recognize that I shouldn't have bought that dress. I should have paid that bill. That's not your parents' fault. Any societal regulations that are out there, rules, being polite, those types of things, those were the things that your parents would have given you to be able to mingle in the outside world. But when we become adults, we look at other adults and we don't use those. Okay, so that's neither here nor there. Understanding that if somebody's rah-rah-rahing at you and you're getting ready to rah-rah-rah back at them, ask yourself before you do it, why? And do I need to exude that energy? So yes, my standpoint on the inner child is a little bit different, but that's just because I grew up a little bit different. And so we'll talk about some of our experiences. I think we can do that. But outside of that, for those younger people, I can see them needing the fact of, growing up your inner child, because you're in that young, early age. People who already have children, look to your children, because your children are going to tell you what they like and what they don't like. Your children are going to be the ones to express to you who they are. And make sure that you're not imprinting you on your kids. Well, I wasn't all that smart, so my child needs to be. If you wasn't all that smart, if you don't give your child the intellect that you needed, they're not going to get it. Okay. If you wanted to be a doctor and you pivoted because you got distracted with somebody or you met somebody and decided to detour, don't look at your child and think that they're going to do the same. So don't push yourself onto your child, and that will help them from having to feel like they need to grow their inner child or heal their inner child. You will allow them to be who they are, because I feel like this. I grew into myself. I knew who I was as a young person. I just wasn't able to express it the way I wanted to. But when I became an adult, I thought as an adult and I expressed myself that way. So that's my outtake on it. You may agree, you may disagree. I'm okay with both. I'm not going to argue with you about it.
It's your healing journey, everyone. It's your healing journey. And for those of you who do need that healing moment to heal that inner child, to elevate yourself, this is a book here. It's only 26 pages long. 26 pages long. You can read this in like 30 minutes.
Who's that book by?
This book is by Veronica Bond. Very good book. I highly recommend it. And I do have some journal prompts for you guys that may need it. And I have 4, let me make sure. I wrote it down. Yeah, I have 4 journal prompts. I want you guys to sit with yourself, those who need it. Sit with yourself and think of these questions. Question 1. How did you process your emotions as a child? How did you process them as a teenager? And how did you process them as a young adult? Number 2, how were you taught to deal with your emotions as a child? Number 3, what parts of your parents or your caregivers do you see in yourself? When did this become apparent, and how do you feel about it? Include any toxic traits or non-toxic traits. That's totally up to you. This is for you to sit with self. I actually have 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 5. So I'm sorry, y'all. 5. Okay, number 4. What is something you've always wanted to confront someone about but didn't? Why didn't you confront them? How do you feel about it right now? Say it. This is for your healing. And the last one, not least, let me see. How did I wrote this? For those with toxic traits, how do you transmute those traits into something positive? These are 5 journal prompts that you can sit with self. Be totally honest with yourself too. Don't sit up there and not have accountability like we've been talking about. Really sit with yourself. These are questions that I asked myself. I even have it written down in my journal. Asking myself these questions, holding myself accountable for what I was feeling with these questions, and are very helpful. As you can see today, I'm the strong goddess that you see sitting here today. Do I still make mistakes today? Yes, that's on me. Everything's a learning process, but you always gonna see me coming out here with a smile. Did you have any journal prompts, sis, or no?
Remember, sometimes toxic traits aren't easy to identify. So being able to, your emotions are going to tell you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people will think something is toxic and it might not be. You need to be able to decipher between the two. And sometimes it might not be a toxic trait. Maybe it's just a belief that's no longer serving you. We have a lot in the Black community or the African American community or the brown community. We have a lot of beliefs that no longer serve us. People would consider that toxic. I say they're beliefs that no longer serve us. They served us at a time that we needed them, and now we don't need them. We need to change them. So you tear those down, and it takes a while. You have to sit in those beliefs. You have to once again understand where they came from. You have to understand why they were for the people who taught them. And then you have to understand why it no longer serves you the purpose to live by them. Once you change limiting beliefs, then you start to see the beliefs change your reality on the outside. Any beliefs that are limiting, work hard, be the best because of your skin color, those are limiting. And I get it. Maybe we do still see racism out there. Maybe we do see that we have to work harder. But when you change, I don't have to work as hard. That doesn't mean I can be lazy, but I don't have to work harder than the person next to me to get what I need. I am still a person. And once again, I will always say, we don't need to be validated by those that walk the face of this planet. It's not about them. It's about you. And as long as you validate you, we've already been validated now that we're here. So validation is the reason why we do a lot of the things that we do. We don't need to be validated. Long hair, short hair, dark skin, light skin, whatever your complexion is, whatever your hair level is, long, short, no hair, all the hair, who cares? Validate yourself. Self-love is what you can give yourself. Self-love will take away all the problems that you're worried about with the inner child and the self this and the self that. At our age, heal yourself through understanding who you are. You should know you better than the person next door to you. If somebody says, girl, this is you, if it's not you, then you just look at them and shake your head and, walk off. No need to argue. No need to tell them, no, that's not me. Because some of us can see energies around people and then they will tell you, no, that's not me. Mm-hmm. And they're faking it until they make it. But some of us can see the fake. And I don't always call it out. It's not my job to call you out when I see what I see. And it's not my job to tell you that this is who you are, because that's not for me to tell you. You should be able to tell me who you are with no regard. If you have to embellish it, please believe, embellish it. I'll know. I'm not worried. If you're faking it until you make it, fake it until you make it. But please believe, I'll know. I'm not going to say anything. Because sometimes you need those understandings of belief so that you can start to believe it yourself. So you build your affirmations around them. You build your understanding around them. And the more it takes about 26 to 30 days to reconnect with something new if you do it every day on a day-to-day basis. Once you take on a belief and you tell yourself I am for 30 days, hopefully you turn into that. We're not in the I am stage anymore. We're in the I know. So if you're telling yourself I am, that was the Piscean stage. We're past that. We're in the I know. And you can say I know, but every cell in your body has to buy it before it actually becomes true. I know. I've done it. So this all falls on you. It all falls on you. When we tell you heal the inner child, it's about not placing the blame on your parents anymore. It's about taking accountability for self. If you didn't say something when you were supposed to say it or when you felt you should have said it, it might have not been for you to say it. So also bargain with that. I should have, so I'm going to. Might not be for you to say it. Karma is still a very real thing. And if you impede on some karma that you didn't want, then you get to relive that karma, not only in this life, but the next. So my aspect on all of this is very spiritual. There's contracts that we've signed and people that are in our lives that come into our lives, even if for a split second, there was something that they were supposed to give you and something you were supposed to take away or vice versa. So be careful when you do these types of work on intention, because the intent behind it is what the real relevance is. It's not, oh, they said do this and I'm going to do that. No, if it's malicious or ill intent, then it's malicious and it's ill intended. This is supposed to be done with a clear, conscious mind and a clear, conscious heart with only love involved. So before you go and decide that I'm going to sit my parents down and I'm going to make them hear what I have to say, one, it may fall on deaf ears. It may not be their time to hear. It's like that thunderclap in the ears
Yeah.
that they're not supposed to hear. It's like the bright light in the eyes because they're not supposed to see. It's like the noose that's put around their neck to strangle off the voice because they're not supposed to speak. So be very careful when you take this out into the world and you decide that I'm going to fix or right my wrongs, because you could be starting another karmic cycle. You have to understand these things. So getting into this practice and these understandings, I started with accountability and emotion, because with accountability and emotion, it puts everything back on you. It's not pointing the blame or pointing the finger at anybody else. If it takes you all the way back to your childhood, the only thing that I want you to take out of your childhood is the pearls and the diamonds. You can't fix the past. We're not supposed to even keep walking into the past unless we're finding the light in it. Leave the dark in the dark. Don't pull the dark into the light, because then you'll find that you'll start to feel depressed, anxiety, these types of situations. If these start to well up in you, you want to ask your question, did I do this right? Or did I bring something out of the dark that should have stayed there? Some demons aren't supposed to be brought into the light. So we have to be able to recognize these things so that we don't get caught up in the past for what the past was supposed to be. Learn the lesson, take forward what the lesson was, put that positive inspiration into your future, rebuild your beliefs around the positive instead of the negative, and move yourself forward. I'm no longer on my soapbox.
She
You got the floor.
pretty much said it all. Yes, this is all spiritual, and a lot of people that's still holding on to these traumas, you're not going to see that until you let it go. So this is not to hurt you, it's not to hinder you. It is to elevate you, for you to see the power within you. That's what I did. And I'm proud of myself. I'm grateful to even have a mother that's willing to listen. I understand everybody parents are not willing to.
Nope.
Like she said, you're gonna have to use your discernment in this perspective. Some of this stuff you may just have to make peace with it from within. That's why
Yes.
I suggest writing those letters to self, then burning it, let it release in the ethers. Because, like she says, some of them are not ready to hear this. Just because
Nope.
you're ready, that doesn't mean they're ready. This is your healing journey. This is your peace from within. That love you're looking for, because I was looking for love in all the wrong places as a youngster. And I eventually found out the love I was looking for all along was right here. Hell, I'm looking outside me for. I got the love that I need right here, and I did not know it because I'm looking everywhere else. Because I'm holding on to stuff that I should have let go of. I'm holding on to stuff that I did not understand. This is to make me stronger, not to hurt me. So I hope this helps, guys. I really do hope this helps. This is all I had, sis, for
Yeah,
this.
because I mean, I walked through life telling myself it could have been worse.
Yeah, because there's
It
some
could have been worse.
far more worse
We
than me.
we
So
each have a story. We each have a story that we came here to tell. And that was part of my story. And I'm not saying it's horrible, but what I am saying is, do we find things, is it easier for us to point out things in other people that they should fix before it's easier for us to look at ourselves? Yes, because we're observing, but we forgot to observe ourselves. It's easy to judge others because we're on the outside looking in, seeing who they are, seeing what they're going through, listening to their disturbances, and judging based off of who we are. Should we do that? No. Do we do that? Yes. When you find yourself judging, ask yourself why. When you find yourself putting other understandings on people, ask yourself, why am I doing that? They're not me. Because if they were to do it to you, you would get upset. So when we look at these generations, you're talking about me, I'm what, Gen X? So I was raised by baby boomers or the Jones generation, and they were raised by the generation who thought kids were to be seen and not heard. So you have to understand the way they was raised, we change it we changed little things. What we didn't know to change were the things that we picked up and didn't know we were picking up. And so we brought them down, and then it wasn't until me and my child had a rift in our relationship, and I was trying to figure out why. I didn't raise you like this. I didn't raise you to be this person. But what I did do was I transferred all that energy into her. So the way I acted was part of the energy that she picked up on, part of the stuff she pulled in. And so prior to us doing this this video right here, I spoke to her about it because I wanted to get her intake, because I didn't have to heal my inner child. As I went on, I just told myself, this is what life looks like. This is how I'm going to deal with it. This is what I'm taking away from it. And this is how I'm going to go forth in my life. Did I not like some things? Yeah. When I get older, I'm going to change it. Right now, they're in control. So I'm letting them drive the car. I sit in the back seat. But when I'm controlling my own car, I'm going to do different things. I wasn't looking for love, because most people don't even know what true love is. True love with no attachment. Anything attached to love is not love, it's that other thing. Control, stability, security, it's not love, because then you're leaving no room for the person to make mistakes. So I went to my daughter and I said, you had to heal some things within you. And she said to me, I didn't have to heal the inner child. She said, when I looked within, it was me that I needed to change. It was what was in me, the misunderstanding inside of me. And a lot of that is what we get as kids, a misconception or a wrong perception of what we see, because our parents don't show us the big picture. We don't get to always see the big picture. Now, some kids maybe had to be the adult in the family, but if you were the adult in the family as a child, you should be a very good adult in your life when you get older, unless you feel like, well, I didn't get a time to play, or I didn't get a time to do this, or I didn't get a time to do that. It was work, 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 work. Get it? But like I told my kids when they was younger, being an adult doesn't change it. You work, 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 because we were brought to believe that working hard brings money. But we didn't understand that working hard doesn't give you a happy life. It gives you money. It gives you money. And it hit me because one day I had a person come to me and say, how do you look at the person that has money and material? And I told him, I see him as unhappy. I see him as very unhappy, because you worked all this time for all this money and you had no time for self. You provided for family, you provided for kids, you provided for, yourself, you put food on the table, you did everything you needed to do, but I don't see that being happy. Why could I say that? Because there was a time in my life where I did things because I had to do them, not because I wanted to do them. And having to do something because you have to do it, and it's not something you really want to do, doesn't bring happiness, because you're just doing it to make sure that I put food on my plate. But when I sat down and started really thinking about it, and I said, okay, why would books of religious understandings tell us that everything is provided on this earth for us when it's not? We got to buy it. So it's not really provided. The land was put here for our bed, and the sky was put for our canopy, but we don't drink water for free.
That's crazy.
We barely breathe free air. And everything that is on this earth has come with a price.
Right.
So when you look at how you're living, and then you reflect back on your parents, they may have did the best that they could do. Were some of them on drugs? Probably. But most of us that have never been in those shoes, we don't understand. And I will never ask to understand to walk in somebody's shoes that I don't want to understand because that wasn't my journey. But if you ask, you will find out. So what I've learned to understand is I did some research and I started to find people who work hard, they play even harder. And sometimes the toys that they choose to play with gives them a sense of more illusion on top of the illusion. And that more illusion on top of the illusion is a dream state that they put themselves in through drugs or whatever to help them be able to cope with the reality that is based around them. But if you change your perspective, change your beliefs, change your understanding, learn to love yourself more. If you can't look yourself in the mirror and say, I love you, with all the strings attached and unattached, then that's not self-love. If you're sitting in the mirror pulling yourself apart and saying, my nose is too big, my face isn't shaped right, I got rolls and fat and I'm not light enough or I'm not dark enough or this isn't perfect, you're only tearing yourself down.
No.
Look at yourself and tell yourself you love you for the person that you was born here to be. Without the tight clothes, the showing off everything, without the weaves and the nails, this all. Break yourself all the way down to your birthday suit and look at yourself in a mirror and love every flaw, every perfection, because none of us are perfect. Models are far from perfect. I was taught to be, I'm a licensed makeup artist. And the most imperfect people are the people that we regard as perfect. Why? Makeup makes anybody look perfect, man, if you put it on right. But then when you wash it off, you still have to come to the terms and the reality of this is me. This is me. This is who I am. And if I can't love me, nobody else is going to love me. So start there. Start there. Love yourself, all of you, flaws and all. Have I made mistakes? Yes, I've made mistakes. I've made plenty of them. I wouldn't be sitting here able to talk to you and teach you about who you can be if you don't make mistakes. In my classes, I don't call them mistakes. I call them discoveries. Because as soon as you make it, you know what you want. You know what you don't want. You know, oh, I shouldn't have did that. Won't do it again. Or some of us get stuck. Well, it didn't work out. I'll try it again. Well, the definition of insanity is to keep trying the same thing in the same way and expecting different results. Right. You're only putting yourself in a loop in life. We want to come out of that loop. We want to be able to live a life at the level that you're at and be happy, be understanding. Say that, okay, maybe I do live in a trailer park, or maybe I do live in the projects. It's okay. It's okay for me to be here for now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find my way out of this because I want to. For me, not for everybody else. For me, for my inside. For me, I want this. If you don't want that and you're comfortable where you are, find the happiness in it and don't complain about what you don't have. Because the more you complain about it, the more you don't have it.
Yep.
The more you don't have it. So emotional control, very important.
Yeah.
Once you do that, it's going to take you into the inner child understanding anyways. Because it's going to take you all the way back to the first time you felt that emotion and what you did to it. Self-reflection is going to teach you that, oh, well, I didn't really need to do that, but I did it. Okay, well, why did you do it? Well, because my ego was bruised. Okay, well, once you say it out loud and it hits the ears, then you know what to do with it from that. Mm-hmm. Accountability, self-reflection, two different things done two different ways. Accountability is saying, I did it. I understand why I did it. I don't like the feeling. I won't do it again. All of this encompasses what spiritual people call shadow work. It's understanding I have a light and a dark side to myself. It's understanding that sometimes I do have to walk into the dark because I have to make those discoveries. But then I come back into the light and I come back into the pristine me that I am. I don't curse, but if I ever curse you out, you know I walked into the dark because it needed to happen. Okay? We all know this. Um, did I used to fuss with people? Yeah, I did. But young energy is fast, it's misunderstood. We're collecting information from the people we see, not just our caregivers, not just our parents. We're watching our friends, we're watching their parents, we're watching people who are standing on their own 2 feet. We're watching everybody around us. TV, the worst influence we could have ever came up against, because TV gives you a false sense of reality.
Mhm.
We think that love is on TV. It's the way they wrote it out. We think that sleeping around because they do it on TV, it's okay. Can be if your planetary placement sits in those areas, but then you also have to understand you're putting yourself in harm's way.
Mm-hmm.
You're definitely putting yourself in harm's way. The name of this game is to learn you so that you can teach your children to be who they are. They won't resent you if you allow them to be them. But if you know you already know what your kids are capable of.
Nourish
One of
that.
my daughters used to say I could never get in trouble. She said, because mom always knew. I said, because you did the things that I thought about doing, but I knew not to do. I tried to stay out of trouble. You was trying to find yourself in trouble. I could identify it. So watch us, learn from us. We're learning from each other. We're Aquarius, both of us, but we're very different. We're like night and day.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're in 2 different generations. We grew up differently. We grew up in different areas. We've tripped over maybe some of the same obstacles, but then we've also tripped over our own.
Yeah. We were both in the army, but at 2 different times. So it's amazing.
So it's one of those things where we have learned some things to be able to help people on either end of our spectrum. Me, you might get a little emotion out of me if you watch. You might not. I'm not that emotional. I think we've said this before, but I will give you the most of me. I will give you everything that I have within myself. I have books and books and books that I've written stuff down in. I don't journal. I'm not going to tell you I do. I'm not a person that can sit down and journal like most people. Most of my writings are very sporadic. They won't make sense if somebody was to go open my books, but I'm very air. So it looks like air on the paper. I'm going to give you knowledge from every source that I can find it. I don't stick my head in one route and stay there. I have multiples. So when I say I don't understand something, I mean that I don't understand it within because I haven't done it. I didn't need to. But I'm not saying that there's somebody out there that doesn't need this. There's just different ways, and you'll find your niche. When you do, then you're going to ride out with it.
Yeah.
And you're going to be the best person that you can be.
Always.
So keep up with us. We're not going to stop this. And even if y'all don't watch it, we're not going to stop this.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I'm still learning and growing still to this day, and I'm loving it. Flourishing and everything. And my good sis is one of the great inspirations that's been helping me grow as well. She said I don't have to keep thanking her, but that's just my way of showing gratitude. Okay?
I know she loves me. I know she loves me. I will tell y'all to thank your spirits, because I wouldn't be able to sit here and talk if it wasn't for you. Because I told you, it have been people who have been asking for this for years now. And I'm just, how do I get on this phone or this computer and just start talking with no,
Yeah.
because usually it comes, and when it comes, if I don't If I speak it, it's gone. I won't remember.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it doesn't make any sense. So
Yeah.
you've helped me just as much as I helped you. So the gratitude goes to our spirits for saying these two people need to be together
Yeah.
so that they can start something for other people who need to hear those messages.
Well, family, my spirits tell me to show gratitude to the people as well. Still, they know that I give them gratitude all the time. So that's me coming from my heart, sis. It's part of me and my
I
ancestors.
understand. I'm
So
not, and it's not me being rude. I tell everybody, don't thank me, thank your spirit, because your spirit is the one who led us to each other. And in that, the gratitude to the spirit opens up more doors for both of us. Whereas me in human flesh, I might renege. You see what I'm saying? I might renege. I might say I'm going to do something and life goes a different way and I don't get to do it. You see, but if you think your spirit, the true gratification not only goes to your spirit, it goes to the ether, it goes to the creator of all. And then it comes back and it sets on my shoulders, and my spirit kisses me on my cheek and says, "You did a great job." And that way I'm not overwhelmed with the emotion of I didn't do anything. I really didn't do anything. I did this for myself. And when I found it, I couldn't hold it in. I'm not really a gatekeeper. I don't know how that works. I need to give it to somebody.
yeah, I don't know how to do that either. Sis.
No,
Gatekeep.
I don't know how to gatekeep. And when I find something that I feel is going to be for the masses, I've got to give it to them. Use it, utilize it, take it. If you don't use it, it doesn't work for you, I'm sorry, then it wasn't sound. And I tell people that all the time. If you come to me, because I do have people that I counsel, I'm not a counselor because counselors go by books. Counselors give you information based off medication. They go off of these worldly misunderstandings. Me, I'm going to take what you tell me. And we're going to find the flaw in all of it, whether it's in you or whether it's in your story. But there are things that we can't see, taste, touch, and hear. So there are things that, since verbal language is very new for us, sometimes there's things we can't tell.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's things we don't want people to know.
Mhm.
Sometimes the event in our head changed. So we're telling it from a different perspective because the way it happened and the way we remember it are two different ways. And with all of this, if I give you information and it fits, it's sound. If you go home and you realize that the information that I'm giving you and the information that you know within is off, then it's not sound information. Discard everything I've said and find somebody who can give you the information you need. But we've come together to basically give you an excerpt. These first 3 videos are to get you lined up for the deep conversations that we plan on having from this point on.
Yeah.
You will have to possibly heal that inner child.
Yes, you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to. But this will be the last segment of shadow work because we got other stuff we're gonna talk about.
We have other stuff that I very much am ready to talk about. We have you have emotional understanding. There are books. There's the emotion code. You can listen to Wayne Dyer. You can listen to Alan Watts. Some of these are very, very deep talking people, so it takes a while to listen to them and decipher what they're saying. But if you listen to them, you'll get it. You've got Eleanor, what is her name? Louise Hayes.
I've heard of her.
You've got all of these people who have done emotional understandings. You've got all of these people who have written books. These are people who are no longer here. They have passed on, transitioned, and possibly came back. But they've given this information for us to have. And this is not that new revised information. Some of these books is old information that we need to know to bring you into some of the heavy stuff we're going to get to talking about. Accountability, very big. But know that when you do these things, before you pass over that threshold, you're going to get dealt with a lot of this stuff.
Ain't no turning back.
Yes. So if you're saying, I want to be a better person, I want to be a better person, I want to be a better person, you start to change yourself and then you get bombarded with all these negative people. It's a test.
Mm-hmm. Just to
It's
see.
a test.
Mm-hmm.
And you've gotta say, okay, I'm trying to be a better person, so how do I deal with this in a better way? Because the old me would have cussed them out,
Yeah.
act stupid, made myself look like an idiot, thinking that I'm in the right. Nah, sweetheart, and two people arguing in public, y'all both wrong.
Like a mother. Like a mother.
You're both wrong. Yes, there you go. You're both wrong. Both. Because there is no right or wrong. It's two different perspectives. There's a 6 and a 9 on the ground. One person sees a 6, the other person sees a 9. It's best, and I know it's hard, it's best to smile, not
Boom, bye.
walk away.
Everything don't need a response.
No, every action does not need a reaction. Why?
The thing is, once you've done the work and you should be able to feel strong enough, now that you know you, now that
Yes.
you've done the work, you should be able to like, oh no, I ain't dealing with that.
Yes.
Be
The
no
strong person walks away. That's what we didn't think. We thought it was people who were weak that didn't argue, that walked away. You let him say such and such to you and blah, blah, blah. No,
I know that was so
it's actually really hard to keep your mouth shut when somebody rattles your bones. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do. But the gratification is when you get in the car and you say, you know what? I did the right thing for me.
yeah.
Because had I done went off on that person, I probably would have stomped a mud hole in them. So I saved me from going to jail.
Yeah.
And I saved me from looking like an idiot. And I could walk away with a free conscience.
Yeah. Because I can dog walk in that dark. I can come out. Maybe not you, but I can come out.
I know my background. We not getting into that. Mm-mm. We don't want to. And you know what? And I know, like, people say, well, when you become famous, or if you become famous, or people are gonna bring. You can bring it out the woodwork. I'll tell you real quick. I know all my skeletons. They got names.
Can't hide nothing. I've already made it. Okay,
They
and
got names.
I did
They
that.
got names.
I did that. Yeah, that was me.
We're human. We're actually spiritual beings, have a human experience.
There you go.
We do human things so that we can have that human experience. Have I done them? Yep.
Yeah.
Did I enjoy some of them while I was doing it? Probably.
Maybe.
You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Do I know better now? I do. Do I get to choose? I do. Before it was unconscious. You reacted just because you felt you had to. Now it's conscious. I'll look at somebody real quick and be like, you know what? I'm just not the one. So I'm nod my head and keep going. But I realized I don't even run into those situations.
Mhm.
I don't have those. I think the last confrontation I had, this young girl called me a female dog.
Oh wow. Mm.
And anybody who knows me for who I am, that's one word that'll make all my demons' heads stick out. I parked that car so fast and she didn't know my window was down. And I said, who are you talking to? So she looked like a grown woman. So I'm like, talking to her and this and that and other. Her mom gets out the car and why are you talking? She just called me out my daggum name. So me and the mom got to talking and she told me the girl's background and we had a nice told her, I said, look, I'm not really one to sit up here and combat with anybody. But the one thing you're not going to do is call me out my name, especially when I don't warrant it. Because I didn't move fast enough for you. I had to sit the 19-year-old me down because the 19-year-old me wouldn't have had words. I would have snatched her.
My feelings is.
But that's why I said young energy is fast, rampant.
Yeah.
It's cause and effect quickly. There's no thought process to it.
Mm-hmm.
But the sad part is that we still have older people that are older than me that are still acting like teenagers.
Yep.
But they want to flex dominance because of their age. They need to heal that inner child. Because for some reason, your teenage version of you didn't grow up to the adult It stayed stuck. So the reason why we're doing this is so that we can all move from high school into adulthood.
I love how you said that. That's I just love it.
I, I promise. And that's why I said that. I guess that's why I didn't, when me and you talked about this segment, it didn't really, because when you say the inner child, I go all the way back to elementary school. You
Mhm.
know, the innocence of a child, those types of things. But then I realized most adults don't even act like the innocence of a child. Most of them act like rampant teenagers who are still stuck in between adulthood and grown up. I mean, adulthood and child.
Mhm.
Because that's how I look at teenagers. Teenagers are in that gray area.
Yeah.
They never came out the gray area. You
That
see,
closed.
and yeah, we're not evolving. We're staying stuck. And although our lives move and we got houses and cars and we have kids, we still act like teenagers. If you still throwing a temper tantrum like a 5-year old and you're in your late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, I'm looking at you with the side eye. What's the need of that?
Facts.
Maybe you should sit down and talk to your inner self and tell that teenager you're not a teenager no more.
Right. It's like you're a whole grown adult now with kids.
Yes. Yes, that's why I said it's time to grow yourself up. The innocence of a child, I get it. Because some people have been through some really hard things. And a lot of times they don't want to sit in it and understand. And some stuff is hard to understand. I can't say that I know that life. That's that hard.
Mhm.
I can't say I know that life. But what I can say is that for the people who do, I apologize for the adults who didn't apologize to you. I will give you that hug that they didn't give you.
We both give you a hug.
You see what I'm saying? I will send love and light to you so that you can get past the dark that you had to walk through. But you all are the ones who should be out there helping more
You got a story.
because you know what that life is like.
Mhm.
But does somebody need to hug you? If you need a hug, send me a message. I'll send you an energetic hug.
Yeah.
Shoot, I might even be in your area. I travel so much, I might even be in your area. You never know. I'll hug you.
They also got a little emoji where it's two people hugging. I'll do that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I send that to my friends. I have friends all over the world. I will send that to people who need it. But what I will say is love on yourself
Do. Please do.
because if you don't love the parts of you that are the most not perfect, if you don't love those parts of you, other people won't love them either. They'll nitpick you as much as you nitpick yourself.
Mm-hmm. And it's not a
They
good
will nitpick you. If you're very judgy of yourself, the people around you are going to be very judgy of you because that's the energy you're putting out there.
you attract. You are what you attract. What you
Yes, very much so. Very much so. So that's my words for you for this one. It's going to take us into a beautiful understanding of what spirit can do for you once you have all of this contracts, understandings, different everything. If it has to do with life, spirit, and everything in between, then we'll definitely talk about it.
Yes, guys. And again, I hope all of this works for you. But that's it for us. We're gonna wrap it up. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe,
Subscribe.
please, because we forgot to say
We
that.
didn't forget.
Like, share, and subscribe. Get this video
Press
out.
that like button. You know you like us.
No, we are a
We're
good.
cute.
We are a good time. We both got dimples. Come on. So this is the last segment for shadow work. We got something else for next week's segment. I'm not gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna let it be a surprise, but we still talking about it. But my good sis was amped up, and I'm amped up about it, and I'm ready to put it out there. So guys, don't forget, find your light and fix your crown. Peace, family.